Supposedly, the reverse 911 will go both English Spanish. I can't say that for sure, but I was told that they go both English Spanish. Other than that, it's knock on the door and hopefully just saying, hey, you need to leave. And most of the deputies know enough Spanish they can get people out. Or you can actually pull them out and point to the fire and tell them it's coming. They'll get out that way. But that's the only way that I know. And we have a large population of that area here that we have to deal with. And but before we've had like when I have a fire call and I go to a particular area, I can call dispatch. They have a Spanish speaking person there that can get on the phone with whoever I'm talking with, and they can talk, and then we go on about our way. So that's what I've had to do in the past.
They said, and this still seems very strange to me, they said if a fire comes threateningly close to your home, the local sheriff's office will come and knock on doors and will let you know. And I sort of hesitated and said, well, what if this is a very fast-moving fire? Well, ma'am, that's the system, that they will knock on your door or come down the street with a loudspeaker and let you know. And I said, well, okay, thank you very much, but I can't imagine that that could happen. I think there are something like 1,200 homes out in this subdivision, and it's all wooded. As fast as I heard that the fire spread in Bastrop, I sort of doubt that that would happen, that Hays County Fire Department would have that many resources. If, as 911 told me, they're going to drive down the street and make announcements, that's not going to do a Spanish speaker or a deaf person any good.
The goal of the research project on emergency communication, which was funded by the McCormick Foundation, was to assess the emergency communication policies and procedures pertaining to non-English speaking populations in Central Texas. That meant assessing how the government agencies have policies to deal with non-English speaking populations during emergencies, and how the Spanish language and other non-English language radio and TV stations, but in this case it's only Spanish language radio and TV stations, have their policies and practice to reach out during emergencies and communicate the problems, the prevention, the event, the recovery to their audiences, in this case again Spanish-speaking populations. So the data from that study, the research that was done over a period of 2 years, assessed and came to the conclusion that the government practices and policies are limited and not fully serving as needed, especially during the moment of the crisis, these non-English speaking populations, and that the Spanish language radio and TV stations have many limitations in reaching out and providing that crucial information during the moment of crisis. The TV stations have limited staff, so they cover what they can with their staff. Now, going back to the radio stations, when you don't have any news personnel, that means that they cannot go out and cover an event. They depend on what the government gives them or someone else gives them. If we recall that just a second ago I pointed out that the government doesn't have fully staffed policies to deal with non-English speaking populations, that means that they're not going to be handing out on the spot immediately prior to an emergency, during and after, the information that would need to go out to the audiences from Spanish language radio stations, and the radio stations don't have the staff to go and get it on their own. Catch-22. Caught in the middle are the audiences that are not able to get the information. Anything that happens, flood, fire, hail, tornado, anything, chemical spill that happens between 5 p.m. and 8 a.m., chances are it will not be aired on any Spanish language radio station whatsoever. The most recent example of this lack of information was with the fires in Bastrop on September 4th. Not a single Spanish radio station had live coverage of the event. There was only a brief news alert on one of the stations because there was a DJ there who received the notification, the emergency alert that the city put out, and then translated it and said something about it. Telemundo doesn't have a news staff or news crew on weekends, so that Sunday there was no news about it. And on Univision, the general manager came into the station and typed in a scroll that went out from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Nothing prior, nothing after. Monday morning, all the stations did their best to tell people that there were shelters, that there was food, there was things to do. The day of the disaster, there was no live news coverage from any Spanish language radio or TV station. And that's the moment when it was most needed. To alert people where to go, what to do, how bad the winds were, shelters, things to deal with on the spot. Not a single one in Spanish in the Austin area.